Before we came here, when we boarded a plane in Singapore, we checked in, we boarded, and then we took off. In the very same way, our strategy, today, want to check in our local customers who have concerns over online purchasing. We want to make sure we bring millennials on board, which is one of the strategic directions that Zuji wants to move in. And lastly, we want to take off for sustainable long-term success. Very good morning, ladies, gentlemen. My name is Joel. These are my teammates, Sharon, Mazuk, and Tuyen. Thank you for having us here in this great city. So, without further ado, let me walk us through where we are and where we want to be. First, we see that there's very pertinent local concerns over online purchasing. And where we want to be is we want to generate more online purchases, because that's where the main bulk of our businesses lie in. The question, how to allay these concerns. Secondly, we want to develop mobile engagement for millennials, as Zuji has expressly stated. How then do we develop a niche segment among millennials, because millennials is such a wide-ranging group and many competitors are targeting them as well. Thirdly, it's a very fragmented, highly competitive market. Where we want to be is a sustainable, what we want to have, is a sustainable competitive advantage, one that is inimitable and one that can last for the future days to come. So before we dive into our recommendations, let's take a quick look at situational analysis. Local concerns. Let's address who and what they are. So first we see that most people, according to the case in Hong Kong, do not want to purchase it online, and they rather use physical stores and also the telephone. Why are these concerns, or what are these concerns exactly? When we look deeper, actually it boils down to two things. One is payment security. A lot of people do not believe that the e-commerce security systems are up to date, and they are afraid when they type the credit card number, they might be fraud or they might not have accurate confirmation. Secondly, of course, you can't replicate personalized service when you book online. There's no one talking back at you, there's no one answering your queries. Now we look at who exactly we are talking about. As the team dived in deeper, we segmented it between the millennials to 0-30, and we see that these guys are frequent users of online methods to book. Most of them use Alipay and other even more innovative payment methods. So we don't believe the concerns are very pertinent among that segment. For the older generation, like my own great-grandmother when she was still alive, she never trusted the ATM. Not because of any efficacy problem, but simply because she'd never seen one for such a long time, not exposed to it, and she'd never ever trust it in her whole life. That's what she actually said to me. So we see this segment above 65, it's a bit difficult to bring them over. But we see a segment in the middle, we'll call mid-lifers. We're on the fence. They have some doubts over the security, and of course they want personalized service. But then there's a way for us to allay their concerns specifically for these people. So next, we want to take a look at the online booking space for millennials and look at our competition. You can see it's a fiercely competitive market. Other online travel agencies, global ones, Expedia, Priceline, local ones in Hong Kong. Offline agents are also coming online. Those who only have physical stores in Hong Kong are starting to go in online presence. And lastly, our suppliers, hotels and airlines have their own reward systems and online booking systems, which might give more benefits than booking through OTA. We see here then, we can't just go in aggressively and aim to capture the whole millennial market. We need to take a stepwise approach and carve out a segment which can really be the best in, which people can identify Zuji to be really good in. And the last part of analysis, we want to take a look at developing and sustaining a competitive advantage. Broadly, we identified 4 ways. We ruled out legal rights and cost advantages. Legal rights would be like patents for pharmaceutical companies, because anti-competitive laws prevent such exclusivity, and also other OTAs have partnerships with airlines and hotels that we already have. Cost advantages, the case expressly mentioned that global players like Expedia and Priceline have significant buying power and supply chain management that we cannot compete with in terms of lowering our costs. What then do we have? We have brand. We have done a great job in marketing our brand. In fact, the case mentions that a lot of Hong Kongers know us as the most favorite online brand. So we're online and we're well known, good awareness. However, you see that we have not done a lot in switching costs. We have not made sure switching costs is low for people wanting to switch to Zuji, and we have not made sure switching costs is high for people who want to switch out of Zuji. And there lies opportunity which we'll address in our recommendations. So, ladies and gentlemen, we present to you check-in, board, and take off. We're going to check in more customers through our online platform. We're going to bring millennials on board with us to targeted methods to carve out a niche segment. And lastly, we want to take off to the future for sustainable competitive advantage.
In our first strategy, we want to check in our midlifers towards onboard our online platform. And with this, our first strategy, what we want to achieve is to onboard them to our online platform by overcoming the local constraints that the player in the industry face in the Hong Kong market. So, looking at this, we've identified two key local constraints. And that is firstly, the lack of trust amongst midlifers in the payment and in the virtual security in the payment system. Secondly, it's a service preference for face-to-face personalized services. So in tackling the first aspect of the local constraint, here our objective is to offer offline payment alternatives. And the solution that we propose for Zuji is firstly physical store payment options. And this will look at a case study of Jetstar in Southeast Asia, in which consumers are given the option to pay their air tickets on retail sites of 7-Eleven, and at the same time, while doing this, consumers are given official receipts of confirmation of their booking. So what this aims to achieve is giving them an offline alternative that is convenient, because 7-Eleven is located throughout the island. At the same time, it's also giving them the assurance that their payment has been confirmed and that their booking is assured. And a second alternative that we propose for Zuji is to offer wire transfer services. And here we'll look at Garuda Indonesia, in which they offer 24-hour wire transfer payments. So after a consumer has booked their ticket, they're given 24 hours to conduct this wire transfer payments to secure their booking. And so through this, Zuji does not face the need to build a physical store, which will allay high fixed costs to offer offline payment services. And so, looking at our second constraint in local preference for services, is that we realize they prefer personalized services that they can easily and instantly allay their inquiries. At the same time, services that will able to match up their personalized desires. And so with this, the first solution that we want to offer, that we will propose, is a face-to-face interaction between our travel consultants from Zuji itself and our end consumers. So with this, what we offer is an in-app and in-website video call offering, which is 24 hours, and it will offer them instant service to connect consumers with our travel consultants for them to answer any of the inquiries. And it also includes them changing their bookings, their flight bookings. At the same time, we recognize that among local midlifers, not everyone can speak English well, and therefore we'll offer various languages in which our travel consultants can offer. And through this, we see the success of this proposal is through the case study of Amazon, that actually provides their consumers video chats to help them enhance their consumer experience and to help them answer any inquiries. And a second option that we offer to offer them a better personalized service is connecting our past travelers to our prospective travelers. We realize that when you want to go out to travel for a holiday, there's always uncertainty of whether where you want to go will suit what you desire and what you're looking for. It's all about managing expectations. So what we offer here is an in-app, inside messaging platform that allows our prospective travelers to communicate with our past travelers. So here, for example, when you go online in our in-app website, you can search for national sites, historic sites, or even hotels. You can read through the reviews that are cross-sourced from our prospective travelers. At the same time, there's an option to check out of who's online in this messaging platform for them to be able to raise any inquiries and at the same time allay their concerns over their traveling desires. And also with these initiatives, we find it critical to communicate to our target consumers that we've set up for them a new personalized service where they can enjoy greater customer satisfaction. And therefore, with this, we want to reach out to our target consumers by targeting at media, making them known that we have this new inline services. And this is a through targeted approach, such as, for example, working on with news media sites, bringing on reporters to try out our new services, and it's to inform the public of what we have in store and the convenience and the service that we offer for them. And so, through our first strategy of checking in, What we aim to do is to offer greater customer experience, and through this is we want to achieve assurance within our midlifers that there's virtual safety in payment in confirming your booking. At the same time, where we are able to assure them that what you desire in your travel will be matched by what we can offer you and in your travel experience.
Now that we have checked in the midlifers, our next strategy board looks at bringing about how do you bring about the next incoming wave of millennials at Zuji.com. Now, ladies and gentlemen, as Joel had mentioned earlier, this market is one that is very fragmented. There are many strong competitors right out there who are competing at the same level, offering a wide plethora of services, right from the adventurous traveler all the way to destination weddings, and being able to compete with us on various different fronts. This has brought about uncertainty for Zuji.com. But for those who know how to look, who know where to look within uncertainty, it also brings about opportunity. And at Spectre Consulting, we hope that by identifying the next wave of millennials and being able to bring them aboard the right way, we can then be poised to compete on a different front, different from our competitors who are already existing, and propel ourselves for success. But if you go further and look deeper at the incoming wave of millennials, just look to your right and look to your left, ladies and gentlemen. We are back to the previous slide, please. We are all very trendy and definitely very in sync with our mobile phones. And on average day, 60% of our average student in Hong Kong and Singapore in the region spend their time looking through Facebook as well as social media sites on their everyday life. But also, more importantly, besides being just mobile savvy, another key indicator of key characteristic of our target millennials is the fact that they're very spontaneous. Nowadays, gone are the days where you plan a trip 1 year in advance. There are instances where you could immediately talk to your friend across the street and you'll be like, hey, let's go for a quick trip to Japan next week, or to Singapore, just a few 4-hour flight away. And before you know it, within 30 minutes, you have booked your flight and you have taken on this, and you have started going on this on your trip. And the question then that we want to really address is how can we tap on emerging trends and engage these millennials? And to do that, let us look at the customer journey of a typical millennial today. Right now, you have the awareness, consideration, purchase, and post-purchase, which we are all familiar with. But if you put it in the context of Zuji, this is what Zuji's model currently thrives on. They have a lot of great online publicity, mainly let's say through Facebook marketing as well as the videos that they put online. And let's say if a millennial comes across these brand names and he wants to plan a trip, he then goes on to the Zuji.com website, following which he then makes his purchase, enjoys his trip, and whatever, let's say, miles or points that he gets from it is what remains as a form of a loyalty program within this whole customer journey funnel. And the question then is, how do we then improve this funnel today? And we're going to look at to bring the millennials aboard. We're going to look at how we can improve the awareness and consideration stages to tap to their needs. Firstly, if we were to look at awareness, what does the average student want? Increasingly, these students, while looking for convenience, being able to plan their trips on the go and being spontaneous, also look for personalization as a form of service. They want it to be personalized, and they see, to them, they have made a lot of options, and what Zuji.com needs to do is to break through that clutter. Secondly, they also look for the best deals at all the time, because of the very fact that being price conscious and mobile savvy, they want to quickly tap in to get the best deal that they can. And what Zuji.com can do right away at this stage is definitely when a student first logs in at the initial login, what we can do is allow them to fill out a short questionnaire that helps us build a customized profile that will help us then provide targeted promotions for them based on their travel preferences as well as their interests. And this is something that students would want, because right now all the other service providers, are just giving them standardized promotions, and what we can do here is definitely build a client profile and hence be more targeted, and at the same time offer referral discounts. And this is something you see startups like Uber growing by the very fact that as a friend I could refer another friend and hence get miles or discounts on my account, and that's something that students these days want. And this is going to definitely drive what we want to do via this is to drive the increased downloads of the Zuji app mobile application as well, because of the increasing trend of students going on the mobile world. And if you move on to the next stage of consideration, this comes right before purchase. So even if, let's say, a consumer has already downloaded an app, what can we do to improve the process to make him go and click and buy ahead book his next ticket as well as hotel? And two things we noticed that the millennial today wants is that they are concerned about safety. If you are planning, let's say, a trip to a nearby region, you want to get reliable reviews on the place that you go for. At the same time, you want to have all this information easily accessible to you. And what we can do here definitely is to look at what's already out there in the market. Right now, if you go to websites like TripAdvisor and Lonely Planet, which are standalone websites, they already have safety ratings. But what we can do within a mobile application is pull these ratings to a mobile application and display it at one place for our millennials to see. And that's going to incentivize, that's going to improve the process for our students and enhance their mobile experience with a mobile application. And also at the same time, we can partner with universities to provide student referral discounts. That makes us the travel agency provider for students. And essentially, through this, what we want to do is enhance the mobile experience so that they are poised ready to go on to the next stage of purchase. And so, on top of increasing the downloads as well as enhancing mobile experience, and as Sharon mentioned earlier, with the option to buy the tickets, let's say at your retailers, this is going to that addresses the purchase component. And the last part of the consumer journey funnel is the post-purchase journey. And this is where we hope to take off after bringing the millennials on board to improve the customer relationship loyalty that we currently have with them. And if you look at the current loyalty programs, right now there's a lot of discounts being given by practically every travel agent provider. And at the same time, there's the issue of the rate parity where a travel provider cannot simply just cut the prices as previously as they want to, as we can see from the case that Expedia.com is increasingly facing these regulatory constraints in the region as well as globally. And that brings us to the point that we can no longer just be simply relying on giving discounts as well as converting let's say your purchases into miles and points, but we need to take it a step further. And you notice that for the millennials, they like to travel perhaps in groups with their friends. And what you can do, for instance, if let's say I am getting points, is to be able to share these points with my friends. By having this group sharing point system that is not yet available on the other platforms, this gives us a slight edge over our competitors in an already fragmented market and puts us above the clutter within the market itself. And the key benefit of this, ladies and gentlemen, is that it's going to increase the switching cost of our consumers, and they are going to stay with Zuji.com.
Looking at our three strategies, we've identified that there are certain risks to our strategies, and therefore we consider mitigation plans. For example, first risk will be lower uptake rate than expected amongst our mid-lifers. And here we see that we should be expanding our alternative payment methods, at the same time increasing the activity of agents reaching out to our end consumers. A second risk that we've identified is actually lower reception rate from our marketing promotional activities. Here we can incorporate greater and more intensive mobile promotions. And last risk that we've identified is that competitors can easily imitate our strategies. And therefore with this, we need to leverage on our network as well as our network effect of the amount of consumer base that we have. At the same time, leverage on our current partnership with suppliers such as airlines and hotels.
Thank you. So, checking out and take off when I look at these strategies qualitatively. Let me bring you guys through the strategies quantitatively. Now, firstly, we can look at the status worth of Zuji in terms of revenue performance. Currently, they have been growing at 20% compound annual growth rate for the past 5 years, from 2009 to 2014. And if we go by this rate, they're going to reach $752 million by the year 2020. But if you look at actually the market share in terms of the midlife market from 30 to 60 years old, which has a total population of around 3.9 million Hong Kong residents, we're actually seeing that they are actually currently only catering to around 1% of this total market. And because these issues that we have a lot of greater potential as how we can address the intrinsic concerns that this population group has towards making online travel purchases. As such, with the tracking strategy, we're able to address their concerns over the security of the payment as well as other concerns. We're actually expecting a target of additional 5% in terms of this market group, and that's going to contribute to us an additional $360 million by the year 2020. And next, if you look at the bond strategy, in this case, we're actually targeting the youth groups, which is between 18 to millennial groups, which is between 18 to 25 years old, which has a population size of around 0.75 million Hong Kong residents. We're actually expecting a larger increase of 17% by the year 2020, and this gives us an additional growth of $235 million. And finally, And finally, if you look at our takeoff strategy, our takeoff strategy actually is able to allow us to convert all these new customers to our loyal customers throughout the whole base. So allow me to wrap up. Next slide. We can go through this in Q&A. So finally, in the final slide, we have presented our objective, key issues, 3 strategy, check-in, board, and takeoff. I believe this is a way for Zuji to take off. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's time for our 15 minutes Q&A session. You may start now.
So I have a quick question. You talked about having the reason why people don't like to purchase online is because there's a lack of trust, right? People don't want to put their information online. And you could theoretically go to a 7-Eleven and pay for your ticket or your booking. Aren't a lot of these special deals, don't you have to book them right away? And who's going to confirm it? And how much time are you going to allow the person to actually go and make the transaction? Because if you have, let's assume it's an excellent deal, and there's only 30 or 40 available, and maybe 100 people go online to try and make this booking. What happens if people make the booking but don't end up paying for it? How do you deal with that?
So we refer back to the case we talked about in Jetstar. So how they deal with it is actually, when you reserve your booking online, you have 2 full days, 48 hours, to go to a nearest 7-Eleven if you select the offline payment method to pay for that ticket at that price. So they'll hold it for you for 2 full days, and if you do not purchase, you do not make the payment for it, and you do not have the confirmation code to confirm that payment, then that seat will be given up to the next consumer. So that if there are only 30 seats in your example, then only 30 of these payments will be allowed to be in the system. Unless they are not confirmed, and then the seats will be released to the other passengers wanting to book.
But what about if the airline's policy is with these seats, once you commit to, you have to purchase it right away? How do you deal with that? Who's gonna? Because some airlines have that, right? I mean, you have to purchase it right away in order to get that best price.
Well, for that, actually, this is where we'll be leveraging on our partnership with our airlines. We have a relation with 16 airlines. So our first step will be extending this service to these airlines, negotiating on a better terms with them, because from our understanding, there are current airlines in the market that are actually offering this services, allowing consumers between 24 to 48 hours to confirm the price and their booking, to confirm their booking at that specific price, and making the purchase at a later date. And this also will benefit the airlines as well, giving the consumers the convenience, at the same time the assurance that they can secure the price.
And on that note, we can also, what you see in the market already happening online, that these airlines usually offer additional add-ons on top of the existing purchase. For example, if I pay extra $50 more, $100 more, I could be eligible for the refund policy. For $50 more, perhaps I could adjust it for a different time period. And these are different add-ons that we can play with, along with the existing strategies that these airlines already do.
Maybe a bit more on a bit thought about, obviously I understand the company has been making quite a bit of a loss. Obviously now I see your projections and all that, it's going to achieve a lot of those sales in the top line, which is great. A lot of great ideas putting in. Is it going to cost more? If it doesn't work, what are you going to do about it?
Okay, I'll address the concern of the cost because I didn't have a chance to present it. So we actually budgeted the cost for this overall strategy. So if you think about it, for the check-in strategy, which focus more on customer relationship building, so most of the cost driver will come from hiring the staff to actually make this customer relationship behind all the chat groups. So we actually, with the expectation of this increment in terms of customers obtained by the year 2020, we actually, and also the ratio of 1 customer relationship officer to 300 customers, we actually budgeted a total budget of close to $14 million. And also in the second strategy, which is the boarding strategy, we actually want to create a new application. So the development costs from my past experience, because I also did some other startup before. So from my experience, developing an application will cost technically around $100,000 US. So that will give us around $14 million and $100,000 US in more. That's the bulk of the cost. So I would believe that this cost sounds like really a lot because currently they're experiencing a loss. But if you really look at the revenue projection, and because we feel that the market is really has a lot of potential, we're currently for the mid-tier, the mid-life market, they only have 1% of the total population. So we believe that with this high potential in future revenue growth, we are actually able to still trigger to the bottom line growth, even though there's a pretty high cost incurred.
Quick add-on to this point, I think we considered that as well in the case. And that's why, although the case leaned towards having actual physical stores, because Hong Kongers like to go to physical stores, we wanted to replicate it in a more cost-effective way, so as not to stretch ourselves too thin in terms of fixed costs of opening many physical stores around Hong Kong.
You're still going to be partnering with people like the 7-Elevens and stuff,
Yep.
so they're going to want to take that cut out
Yep.
of it. You're going to be dealing with another sort of large institution
Yep.
as well. And also, sometimes the travel costs that you're going to be a lot larger amounts, so going to be there, they're willing to take the checks or most payments are cash at those things. So I guess the success of the strategy around that is questionable. I guess a lot of the presentation, there's a lot of focus around the millennials and particularly around the student experience. I think that's something directly related to, but often the biggest share of the wallet is going to be that 30 to the 60 year age group. So that would be the parents traveling with children, people who are working, maybe graduates who are working in that. How are you going to capture that market or a bigger share of that market?
Okay, I can start capturing. We were thinking about it, discussing it. We actually thought about the synergies involved. We understood from our prior research in the Hong Kong market, because housing is pretty expensive, a lot of these millennials actually still live with their parents. So the family, the nucleus of the family is still retained in the parent-children relationship. So we thought we could effectively target these millennials that could spill over in promoting our strategy of getting the mid-lifers to switch to payment methods. And also, of course, all of them going through Zuji because the millennials have positive experience through using our mobile app or through using our easy payment system and through, of course, our safety ratings to allay their parents' worries a bit about where you're traveling.
Maybe just to add on to that, actually our first day arriving in Hong Kong, we talked to our ambassador Zach. We were asking him, where have you traveled before? And he said he's been to Singapore. So I asked him, so how do you put your booking? And he said, young people also want to go online. So we believe that if a young Hong Konger like Zach can be convinced of this booking system, and technically they can convince their parents, because as these people are having this concept because they've never tried before. So as long as their children have tried it, then there's a higher potential of them being able to convince their parents, which will be the midlife population. Yes. That will be the spillover.
The other thing, I guess, booking online is a growing experience, but we're also seeing a lot of people booking online directly with the airlines, and airlines are offering hotels and stuff, or booking with the hotels direct. How are you going to sort of combat that direct business?
I think on that note, so the strategy then would be not just simply offer what they're offering and compete with them head on, but instead compete on a different front and appear and have an increased perceived value in the eyes of our customer. I think that really goes back to your loyalty program in terms of the rewards that you can give. But it's not just about increasing the switching cost for them, but also reducing the cost of them coming in, making it easy for you to log in. So for instance, right now I think most of the providers, it's very, once you log in, you then go about to make your first purchase. But before you make your first purchase as well as your initial login, there's this gap where pretty much there's not many touch points. This touch point is not fully utilized by existing service providers. So what we want to do is, for instance, if you subscribe for the Netflix service, once upon the first login, you get to indicate your interest. And when you do all that, Netflix then curates the content that it's going to provide or inform you on the future possibility contents that you can see. And that's something we want to bring in, because it's within our capabilities and we can profile this in the initial login. And that's not something that everyone's doing right now, and that could help in us being differentiated amongst the competitors.
If I could add quickly as well. I think I use Expedia. I have to admit. So I have the point system. I think one main thing about Mazuk's strategy, as he shared earlier, was the ability to share the points. I think that increases the switching cost out of it. Because for instance, you can share the points with your parents, your brother, your girlfriend, your wife. It's more likely that you'll continue to want to use the same app. More people, your peer pressure you, and you score more points from booking together with them. So I think that differentiates you from just a hotel or airline where you collect miles, you only can use it on partner airlines, for instance like Singapore Airlines, KrisFly, or hotels where you only can use it perhaps only in the Starwood group. I think that's the collaborative aspect here is what we're going to add on to the point system.
Who's going to pay for the point system? Because if you're going to give people points, you have to support it.
Oh, I believe that technically we have to be the one like shouldering part of the cost. But because we have such partnership with airlines, then we believe that of course the cost can also be shared between our partnerships. Because at the end of the day, this is a mutually beneficial way of doing a business for our partners.
I'm gonna add as well. I think they already issued bonus points. I think we're not saying that we should do more bonus points, more expensive bonus points than the current business model. I think what we're trying to say is we want to change the elements of the bonus points to create a little bit more stickiness, get the best bang for buck for each bonus point. So we allow the bonus points to be transferred, and hopefully they'll create a bit more stickiness for us.
Yeah, because I think, when sometimes people say, we're going to offer you discounted rates as an example. People don't want to feel like they're getting a discounted rate. They want to feel they're getting the best rate all the time, right? They don't want to feel like, okay, you're going to give me a discount. Well, why am I not getting that best price in the first place? The other thing you talked about was the 24-hour travel consultant. Now the question there is, because there are multiple languages, how are you going to address the market? I mean, are you going to go all across Asia? How many people are you going to have? Which markets are you going to have the people in? I mean, it's nice to have the opportunity to call somebody up, but what happens if the person doesn't speak English? Depending on whether they're from, Indonesia, Malaysia, China, wherever they happen to be from. Are you going to address all markets? Are you going to start off in one market? What are you going to do about it?
Let me just clarify with the travel consultant. So the idea behind the travel consultant is that we understand the lifers in Hong Kong. Not all of them can speak English. Some of them may speak Chinese or Cantonese. So this is our area of focus right now. So for example, when a person calls up a travel consultant to ask they want to change the name of the booking, first they'll be directed to our automated voice, which will allow them to give them the option to choose whether they want to speak English, Chinese, Cantonese, or any other dialects. And then it will be transferred to the operator that is fluent in that specific language. And these travel consultants they will serve primarily the service of administrative purposes, such as changing your bookings or clarifying if you have any questions about any promotions.
Now to answer your first part of the question, we understand that we cannot cater to all markets. There will be inbound, outbound tourists, some from Hong Kong, some just transient and moving elsewhere. Of course, we want English because it's closest to the lingua franca if the world ever had one, closest. And of course, the local language, because we saw most tourist receipts or most outbound receipts were actually from Hong Kongers, going to be the case. So it was a very directed approach we took because Zuji expressly stated it wanted to succeed, and right on the wave of the increasing outbound tourists from Hong Kong itself, where there's a lot of affluence, growing affluence, and there's a lot of room and opportunity for.
Just one question here. Obviously, you mentioned yourself using speed and all as well, the different competitors. My understanding, obviously, Zuji has changed all of the owners, and you've got all this strategy putting in, other people can mimic as well. I do believe there are quite a bit of negative news all along since it all started. Perception is important. Why we put this in, how are we going to change consumer perception?
I think for that, for instance, one of the strategies we looked at, having a sales consultant you can immediately access via a phone. And we looked at similar case studies in similar industries and of how the customer service experience is very important in changing the perception of the consumer. And in the case of Amazon, so what Amazon did, Amazon already provides a huge plethora of services via the mobile app. When they launched their Fire Phone in 2015, they had this one button where a consumer, those who choose to, could actually click it, and within a response time of 9.53 seconds, a consultant will be there on the other end to just simply answer any queries you have. And just that simple step increased the brand equity of Amazon, and it saw increased customer value within those customers that were using the service. And I thought that's something we could bring given how saturated the market already is, and given that the negative publicity that they have gotten, and trust is something they want to build. Implementing this feature and given the past success of it, that's something they would work to our advantage in changing their perception.
So more cost into marketing again.
Well, I believe that essentially the cost is from the travel consultants because we are actually trying to improve this image by providing a better quality of service. So eventually we will still fall back to the previous estimation, which actually considered the bulk of the salary expense paid to the travel consultants.
If I can try to put this in some perspective, I think yes, we incur a lot of costs. But what this cost will do is actually the customers who are missing out now. So it's not like current customers just adding cost to make the service better just for our current customers, so our margins are thinner. I think we're missing out a lot of customers who don't want to go online, primarily because personalized service is not there and payment methods are not there. So the cost to fix these two things will actually help us get these customers that we are not currently getting. So I think that cost is not just added on to reduce our margins, but to actually help in customer acquisition.
So to summarize, what you're offering different is you're going to allow people to book it online and pay physically,
Yep.
number one. Number two, you're going to offer a 24-hour travel consultant that's going to be able to make changes to your booking.
Yep.
And the third thing is you're going to have a point system which you can actually pass on to other group members. Those are the three different. That's the main differences. Is that correct? Is there anything else you're going to offer? But
In the third thing, I think besides the point system is also enhancing the mobile application fully as well, from initial login and looking at every checkpoint and seeing how can we connect them better.
yeah, but other brands have that too, though. I mean, Expedia, Poto, they all have that opportunity. But in your side, I assume you're going to be able to book hotel, car, travel, or is it just travel, like hotel?
I believe in Zuji, currently when I log into Zuji personally, I think they already offer like a combination and like package deals. But I think we follow the primary focus of the case. We talk millennials, so a lot of them want to do it themselves. I just want to book the hotel and the flight, and I go myself. So I think the primary focus we want to focus on is getting them to our mobile platform, getting them to stay, because we have more targeted approach where we know who are they, what they like.
Yeah.
So we better able to funnel discounts. So it's more of a targeted approach, and also introduce the collaborative stuff that millennials so desire, that will differentiate you from the kind of similar competitors out there where everyone offers loyalty points. So just offering loyalty points alone, we believe will be insufficient. So we have to change the element of it, because what we already do is loyalty points, so that would be a non-recommendation. Just it.
Maybe just add on to that. It sounds like what you mentioned is very. What you mentioned is, yes, it is a summary of our three strategies. But actually, each of our strategy is really focused on the consumer group. For example, for the bonding strategy, we are actually focusing on high school, the universities, the high schools. So you think about it. Okay, we are from Singapore, so I also use Expedia. Yeah, but as a uni student, we all want to go on grad trips. But I never really recall seeing Expedia offering something like a grad trip discount. Yeah, that's really that's really good for the uni students, but we never really seen Expedia doing such kind of things. So we believe that if we can make our strategy more focused on consumer groups, we're actually able to have the kind of competitive advantage to our competitors.
It's good news already, so thank you, team from National University of Singapore.
Thank you.
Thank you.